Look at the view from my hotel room. Like, I'm sorry, but I don't know. I could move here. Well, good morning, vlog. Today is prep day. So today is the day that we are doing all of our prep for the next 2 days. So we need to get everything set up, ready to go, make sure all of the cameras are matching color-wise through the ATEM software. It's just making sure everything's good, making sure we have everything, making sure we don't need to get anything more, just kind of making sure we're ready to go for the next 2 days. So what I'm gonna do this morning is I'm probably just gonna go try and grab some coffee or something and then fly the drone a bit. I like this morning light, but sometimes it's a little bit not ideal. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna try to like walk around. I'm probably gonna wait to see if Brandon's up, but heading off to Lola Coffee here in Phoenix. Get a little coffee breakfast before we gotta set up for the day. I really should bring the mic with me, but it's like one more thing I have to think about.
Yeah.
How's Phoenix so far?
You know, my thoughts is great weather right as we arrived. I felt good about that. And also right now, it feels good. I mean, the sun's out, everything's nice. There's like a nice breeze on my skin. I can't complain. It's pretty out here. I mean, right now, it feels good.
Also, we've been seeing self-driving cars, and it's weird because they're actually stopping. Like when we want to cross the street, they actually stop. I mean, it's better than Dallas drivers.
Yeah.
So like we said before, we were going to go ahead and grab some coffee and some breakfast beforehand at this Lola coffee shop. It ended up being an awesome little coffee shop, and we had a lot of fun and a really good talk. I always like working with Brandon. He really makes everything go so much smoother and so much better. And so I'm always happy when he and I get to work together. And when he said yes to this trip, I was super happy. As we said earlier, we had to get some drone. I didn't actually know the amount of time that I would have this whole trip to get drone. So we knew we had some time this morning and we wanted to go ahead, put the drone up and get everything ready. I absolutely actually love this Mavic 3 Pro. It is probably by far the best drone that I've ever used, to be honest. The colors out of it, full D-log, the fact that you have multiple lenses. We actually used all 3 lenses for these drone shots. And so just having that flexibility, being able to use the tool to its full capacity is really an amazing drone. I loved my Air 2S while I had it, but eventually I started to see where I needed more. And this drone has just fit into my workflow and made all of my drones so much better.
Jeremy's currently manning the drone right now.
Yeah, I have no idea where I am.
Oh.
Somewhere over there.
But we just launched it right here.
Now this is prep day, like I've said. So basically what this entails for us is that we need to be able to set everything up and be ready to go for the next 2 days. So on this day, we are actually bringing all of our gear to the venue, and I will link it below, but this Think Tank rolling stand bag is saving my life because it's carrying 3 tripods, extension cords, HDMI cords, but thankfully we have the van because it is big enough to carry everything that we need, which is absolutely nice. And the venue isn't that far away, so it's kind of a positive as well. You'll see here, Brandon and I actually did try to have a lot of fun with this BTS. We've got some POV, we got rigged things up, but load-in was smooth. We had all roller bags and 1 backpack per person, which actually made it easy to roll into the venue. We went right in the back by the loading dock, which was really nice. And then the 3 of us were able to have a meeting. We needed that meeting because the room was a little bit different from what we thought it was going to be. We thought it was going to have a lot more depth, but it ended up being way shorter and way wider than we were expecting. So we really had to think through the camera angles that we were going to do. And we ended up doing what we originally planned, so it did all work out in the end. But I'm time-lapsing this setup because it was honestly a lot. We had to run HDMI cords, extension cords, get camera set up, and we had to do so much. and it just was hard for us to actually film what we were doing. So I figured just setting this up as a time lapse would be better. Thankfully, we had these 2 platforms that the production crew gave us because it really helped raise the cameras just a few feet. And without that, we would not have been able to get some of the shots because we would have been too short. But the overall setup took a really long time because we really wanted to dial everything in and get things perfected, since that was literally the goal of the day. The whole day was there for us to get things ready for the next 2 days. And I will say that while doing this job, I ended up realizing that there were some things that would have been nice to have, like tripod legs that could be, a little bit more narrow, that had a little bit more, free moving. And so I ended up actually buying a new leg system after this to try out. But overall, we had a really perfect setup day. There was one thing that you can see here that was a little weird. We didn't really have many plugs, so we really had to utilize the extension cords and the 3-prong extensions that I brought. And because we were trying to run everything off of wall power, so it was a little bit of a trick for us to kind of actually get everything powered, but we did figure out a way, and I'm thankful that I brought everything because otherwise we would not have been able to do it without the stuff that I brought.
All right, so we finally got things kind of set up. I haven't been able to film just because it's been such a crazy part. There's been a lot of things that we've had to think about, figuring out the room size, figuring out the camera placement, all that kind of stuff. I'll do a breakdown tonight. It's been a good day. It's been tiring, man.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have thought that setting up, as you guys saw probably earlier, the intricacy of everything, but we're not even working it anymore.
Well, and there's still a few unknowns of whether we're going to be able to run wall audio, which is right behind our stand, or if we're going to have to run it into the 6K Pro. So there's still a few unknown aspects about things, but I think overall we're working with what we've got. But we're gonna sit down now, drink our energy drinks, and kind of wait for lunch and stuff. So.
And right here, we're just trying to make sure that the ATEM software is going to connect to the cameras, so that way we can actually control the color and control a few things on the cameras themselves. Unfortunately, if you don't use Blackmagic cameras, it's not going to allow you to control the cameras, which is why I do prefer to use Blackmagic cameras when I can with the ATEM switcher. But for the most part, we were able to control the 2 Blackmagic cameras, the 4K and the 6K Pro, and then we just tried to dial in camera on the S5 IIX as much as we could. Alrighty, now for the breakdown of the whole setup. We are running the S5 IIX, which will be the tracker follow cam, as you can see Brandon practicing. That has the Canon 70-200 f4 on it, and the reason we're using this camera here is simply because it has autofocus, and I knew they were going to be walking around. And then we are also running that into the Atomos Ninja V lower down, so Brandon can see that. And we've got that running into the ATEM Mini Pro. And then for our wide shot, we've got the Blackmagic Pocket 4K with the Lumix 12-35 f2.8. And we've got that running as our main wide safety shot. And that is also running into the ATEM. And we're going to be recording internally on these cameras. That's what the SSD is for there. And that way we can have a backup just on the off chance. For our main tripod, we do have the Manfrotto 504 HD head and the Manfrotto leg spreader system. It just came with the head as a package deal. So it is a good sturdy tripod. It's great for panning and tilting. And then also over here, we've got a photo tripod from Manfrotto and the Benro geared head. So that way we can kind of make sure it's nice and level. And then we are running 2 tracks into the Zoom F3 from the board over by the audio guys. And that is going to be our backup audio. And then we're running that as a line out to the ATEM for mic control. And then as you can see, we've got the ATEM with the Arzopa portable monitor here. It's actually a nice little setup for us. It ended up being all we really needed. And then we have the headphones that I'm using to listen to the audio, and we're on this nice little platform here, so thank you to the production team. And then we've actually got this 3-pronged extension cord from Harvard Freight, and that is running power to the Atomos and to the Pocket 4K. And this was actually a little bit complicated because we only had the one plug. So I had to use both of the multi 3-point extensions, and we had to use a bunch of extension cords in order to run all of the power. You can see here we're running the DJI charger actually to power the F3 and the Arzopa monitor. And the reason that we were trying to run everything off of wall power was so that nothing could die. The only thing that was running off of battery was the S5 2X, and that was running power delivery. So we had a battery inside just in case the battery died and we needed to hot swap. Honestly, I was trying to think of all the potential problems and things that could go wrong and try to find a way to fix that. And then you can see here we've got HDMI cord and extension cord running and gaff taped down to the ground so that we could run a 30-foot extension, a 30-foot HDMI cord and a 25-foot extension cord all the way over to the second platform, which we have the Blackmagic 6K Pro with the SSD, and then we have the 24 to 105, which we actually swapped out later for the 24 to 70, and that's on the Manfrotto 504 HD head with small rig tripod system. Hate these legs. I've actually replaced them since the shoot.
So that is the setup that we're running here for the next couple days. We're doing a big test tonight to test audio and everything else. But so far, everything has gone really smoothly, really well. Obviously, once everything starts, we'll know more how that all goes. Prep day has been really great. At 5 o'clock tonight, we have like the actual test, and we'll figure that out, how everything's doing. But yeah, so this is the little event space that we're working with. So they're gonna have a huge video board, bunch of tables. It'll be nice.
And then to finish off our night of work, we were able to get some drone before the sun went down. We actually had like 20 minutes, so we didn't have a lot of time. We just needed to grab some quick drone shots of the front of the venue. And it was actually a little sketchy because we had some buildings right around and we were like flying right by the stadiums, but we ended up getting the shots that we needed and they turned out pretty darn good.
Trying a mac and cheese pizza. I gotta know how this tastes. That's freakily good. That's freakily good. Tastes like a mac and cheese pizza.